Hello everybody and welcome. I am KRX and we are going to be taking a look at Mashinky in its current form, sort of later 2020 early access. It is expected to actually be releasing later this year. This is a sort of a transport tycoon inspired game. Running a logistics company, not too dissimilar to Transport Fever and stuff like that. I actually don't have a lot of experience with these kind of games myself. I haven't played OpenTTD or Transport Tycoon, or I have played Transport Fever too, and that's basically the only experience I have when looking at this. But this game's actually got some really cool elements. Right now, in the current state of early access, it's in the 6th era, and I think what we're going to do is we're basically going to do like sort of a startup guide or a new player tutorial. Because I found the game a little bit kind of tricky to get going. But for the most part, once you get going, there's actually some really interesting elements about it that I think make it seem pretty unique and special. But that's again coming from someone who has a very limited experience with these games. But I found this game to be actually pretty compelling and also something that would get me into the genre, right? I'm not necessarily going to go back and play a 20-year-old game. But if there's a newer game that pops up on my radar and I give it a try, and this was a good entry and this was a fun experience, then that's going to get me into the genre as a fan. And this might be another jumping in point for other people as well. Looking for a train game, a transportation game, a logistics game, right? So in this game, we'll kind of see how this looks when we actually start up the game. And we definitely want to be starting in the first era just to have that sense of world evolution and progression and stuff, which I think is actually really cool in this game. And in the vid, I have all the settings on default. Now, there's ways to make it a little bit more hardcore in terms of not allowing the trains to like switch around at the stations, or not allowing trains to reverse or flip or anything like that. I have it just on the default settings. Everything is set to medium here. I think we're on a medium-sized map as well. The maps can get bigger. Presumably, there'll be maybe even bigger maps, or people will be able to mod in bigger maps and stuff. There is a Steam Workshop for this, and I believe people are adding things to the Steam Workshop. I haven't done a lot of looking on there yet because I'm still trying to figure out the game, you know? But I have been able to create successful transportation companies in this game, and I'll be able to show you guys kind of how to get started in the game. Let's hit start. Let's just go in default settings, medium. Let's get in there. Here we go. The early Steam age. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and pause the game. So just hit on this little timer right here and just make sure we're paused. And that'll be nice. Now we can look here and see, okay, we are in the early Steam age. It is telling us that there is a requirement to gain some wood currency and some coal currency and invest that into here. And we can essentially invest into here, and that will move us into age 2, into the next age. We also have some little tutorials here, and these are actually kind of nice little things. Just, you know, hey, click on the button. Booyah, it's flashing at us. We get some money. So this is just a very basic way to essentially learn some of the camera controls and stuff like that. There we go. So we can basically just do this, hit space bar to move into the build mode. Again, I'm just kind of, you know, going through the tutorial here, and this is kind of nice. It's nice that it rewards you with a little bit of currency for this, right? It's kind of telling us, okay, you know, telling us to try using the terraform tool and all kinds of stuff. Now it's telling us to do stamps. We're not going to bother with the stamps. Stamps are like blueprints, right? So if we go into the stamps, if we actually follow this, we can see, hey, look, the stamp icon. We can go in here, click on these, and we can just put down some stamps, some sort of like infrastructure and stuff. Let's not get too bogged down on that. It's going to tell us to work on our first line, but let's zoom out for a second. Let's go back to the normal mode. We can hit space bar to sort of flip between this stuff, and we're paused right now, so we could just take a second to look around. We're not going to be losing money or anything like that. We made a little bit of money just doing the camera tutorial thing, which maybe, I don't know, maybe that kind of got us out of a good rhythm here at the start. I apologize, guys, but essentially what we can do is we can look around the world and we can see this sort of like Atlanta here. Okay, Atlanta, there's some people here. In fact, it's 6. 6 is referring to how many buildings are here. Maybe it's sort of like a loose sort of estimate of like population, right? Relative population. 6 buildings here, including a church. Okay. Over here we have Fort Worth. 3 population, 3 buildings here, and it looks like people there's people here that want to basically be transported, right? There are people that want to go to Anchorage. There are people that want to go to Atlanta. In fact, it looks like Anchorage is actually a large town and it's very close to Fort Worth. Okay. We can see some fields over here and such, and I don't really know if we're going to be able to utilize these fields in the later eras and such, but for the most part, it's just kind of like making the world a little bit more beautiful. Some lakes and things. North Las Vegas, there we go. And we actually start to have more than just towns. We have a forest over here. So this is a forest that we can click on, and it essentially, based on a certain amount of time currency, it produces wood. It just sort of generates wood. And this is a business, and this is a business that wants to move its wood to a sawmill. And then eventually we can move from a sawmill to like a tools factory or a furniture factory or something like that, right? And start to process these things and ultimately get the wood currency, right? And start earning this currency, because there's more in this game than just money, money, money. It's actually kind of cool. There's different kinds of money. There's different kinds of currency. Here we have a coal mine. Coal mine just produces coal. I mean, it makes sense, right? This stuff makes sense, but we can sort of scour the map and see what kind of things we have going on in the world. Oh, over here is a sawmill. And we can see this sawmill, we can actually convert 3 things of log into 2 lumber, but then also 2 lumber currency. So that 2 lumber currency we'll be able to use to advance to the next age. And this lumber here is going to be a resource that people are going to want in other factories, right? So this goes right into our pocket. This is going to go into our pocket, and this is going to be a resource that accumulates and is able to be pushed from this business to other businesses that want the lumber. Like over here at the toolworks, we can actually move 4 lumber for 2 currency. The interesting thing about this is, dang, if we're getting currency, if we're getting paid over here at the sawmill, and then we're getting paid over here at the toolworks, it's like we're kind of getting paid at 2 points, but eventually it just becomes even more sort of wood currency. Here we can also make some coal currency. It's a little bit harder to make the coal currency though, although the coal is just a 1 step, right? It's just coal to here, boom, we're making coal currency. So maybe it's not that difficult. Whereas at the sawmill, there's an intermediate step to be able to make the wood currency from the sawmill. Okay. So we have some different things. In the first line over here, if we go back to this mission, it says first line. It is suggesting that we do one from North Las Vegas to Atlanta. So the mission, the quests, and that's one of the cool things about the game, is you'll get these different quests that help you kind of do different things, and it'll literally subsidize sort of the different sort of lines in economic opportunities that you can go for in the game. So we need to be moving wood to the sawmill, and then that sort of processed lumber to the to a toolworks, and where we do that and how we sort of, again, it's really based on finding the economic opportunities, right? Baltimore and Lincoln, that's a pretty short line. We could set that up and make some money from that. We could try to connect all these towns together, lots of towns here in a big row. We could try to connect those up. You know, we could see where there's a really good line of connections between sawmills and toolworks and things like that, right? And try to piece together like here, I mean, this forest and this sawmill, and then boom, right into the toolworks, and then the coal mine right in the toolworks. That could be really, really effective. That could be very sort of a low barrier to entry and a good sort of opportunity for profit. Let's set up our first line, okay? So when you're building in this game, you can either hit this button or you can use the spacebar. I'm going to be using the spacebar to flip into the build mode. Once you get in the build mode, it's like, voila, there we go. We got rail stuff here. We got road stuff here. And we could build, you know, road depots and road stations for buses and other vehicles and stuff like that. But in the early eras, we're gonna be good to go with setting up some trains between these areas. And for the most part, we're just gonna have to start with. In fact, let's see if it tells us here. Click on the station tool. Booyah! Put down a station. Okay, so we're on the station tool. It's telling us that we want to put down a station somewhere around here, and we know we need to get over to Atlanta. And we could also try to think about, okay, where is this going to go? Maybe it's going to go down here. Maybe it's going to swoop down, or maybe it curls down this way. Or maybe this isn't going to be an entire sort of loop that then has another station that sort of heads off to this. Actually, I could see a loop right here, combined with the fact that I could see a sort of back and forth here, and then I could see those linked up together. That actually could be kind of cool. So if we're going to do a loop, we could maybe set this station up kind of like this. Now, right now, that's only going to actually connect and hit the church. And you can see the sort of the range of this station. But there are ways that we can kind of go in and fix this. One of the cool things we can do is we can actually go in and extend this. Using a waiting room will actually allow us to extend it and cover those other buildings that we weren't covering. which is pretty neat. It is rather expensive to put this down, but it's going to increase that catchment area by 2, right? +2 for the catchment area. Alternatively, we can use just platforms. Will kind of also can be built outwards and sort of used to extend the radius, but in a shorter, in sort of a smaller amount. Let's get a waiting room by this church, and that'll add everything to the catchment area. That'll make it so that these houses can actually get people to the station. Otherwise, we'd maybe need to use buses or other things, or wait until things grow around the station and stuff like that. So we have a station over here, and we put a waiting room in. Game didn't tell us to do the waiting room. We just kind of did that because, well, it seems like a good logical thing to do there to get that catchment up. Over here, we need to build a station near Atlanta, it was telling us. I'm going to just try to build these as large as we can, because wrong kind of station, guys. Whoops, I made my little goofed up there. I was in the road section. We need to build a train station. There we go. So we have a train station here. And again, we can go here, go to decorations or extensions, and maybe we could put a platform here and try to get a little bit more reach. There we go. So we can kind of put these platforms in here, which also kind of includes that house. We're not quite getting this house. It's okay. We'll survive. We can maybe build a waiting room later, but they are kind of expensive. So here we go. We have our connection between, we have our 2 stations at North Las Vegas and Atlanta. Now, if we're just following along with the tutorial here, which we could, this is good this will get you going on your first line. So it's kind of nice to look at it from this perspective, I think. Station 1 and Station 2, we just need to connect these with rail. There we go. Let's connect these with rail. Okay. And the game is actually pretty forgiving about where you can sort of add the rail in terms of like sort of terrain. But what we might want to do is maybe we want to flatten this out a little bit just to kind of smooth it out and just make it look a little nicer. But totally unrequired. Not required to do this at all. It looks like we're going through a forest. That does cost a little bit more. And that looks like a pretty smooth little bit. There's a little bit of an incline here. However, it looks really steep for a train. It certainly does. But if we go back into the sort of normal mode, you'll see it's not that bad of a slope. It's really not that bad of a slope. The train will be able to handle that no problem. We are going to be totally good to go there. No issues. Now, however, we now no longer, we do not have a depot. And I think this should start telling us, whoops. Yeah, now it's saying that we want a depot. Okay. We want to put down a depot. Let's find a place where the depot can go on the line. I don't think there's any issue with that right there. There we go. The depot is down. Now from here we can actually build an engine. And that should tell us to buy one of these. Okay, let's buy one. And again, interestingly enough, right, there's the bald one here, which is a faster train, has more torque, has more horsepower. Just a better train, right? We can't buy it because we do not have, we have all the money in the world right now. We got $1,500, but we do not have wood currency. So we need to earn wood currency to even build better trains. And eventually there'll be other coal currency to do certain things and stuff, right? So right now we got the porter. Let's build the porter. And of course, as we advance through the different eras, we will be able to get more as well. And we're just going to basically load up this train here. And we think that maybe this will be a bigger train in the future once we get this full loop going. So maybe it'd be worth kind of making this, setting this up for the future. So I'm just going to build these until I see this go red. Actually, I'm pretty confident that 4 is the most that we can do. Actually, can we try to get 5? Oh, we can get 5. 6? No, 6. Doesn't like 6. I'm going to go here and just sell one of these. Click on the trash can to sell and just sell that one back. No big deal there at all. So we got 5 of these on here. We have capacity for 75, right? Each of these can hold 15 people. And this right here has not gone red. This just kind of warns me that it's going to be like, it's going to be overloaded. When it's full of people, it's going to be overweight. The train is going to have issues because it'll be overweight. So in this case, looks like we're totally good to go. And we've done that. Oh, it's telling us to buy those. You know what? We do get a profit from this here. I'm going to buy these just for the mission. Thank you. Our first line. Great. Okay, now sell these because I don't really want them. We ended up getting the nicer coaches, the higher capacity ones. per weight, per sort of how much strain this puts on the engine. This is going to be a little bit better of a setup here. So let's click on this train. Let's get this thing working. Now the thing is, we can just hit start, and it's going to be smart enough to know what the heck it's doing. That's what's really cool about this. Or what we can do is, if there's a more complicated scenario, we can actually go to orders and we can add the specific orders and say, okay, first you're going to go to station 1, then you're going to go to station 2, and then eventually then you'll repeat the orders. You'll go back to station 1 and then station 2 and station 1, station 2. Perfect. Start. Let's go. We don't need any signals on this route because we only have one train on this route. There's no issue here. But what I want to do is I want to actually kind of whip the rest of these into action here, I think. Let's get the rest of these going. Let's get stations down here. That'd be kind of cool to actually have this station sort of up, elevated up there. Now this station needs a little bit more reach, it seems. Let's get a platform of trees. There we go. And again, just increasing the catchment area is what we're doing there, making sure those areas are sort of in the blue. Another station down here. And I think what we might do is we might add a few trains here. This is going to be big money here. This is going to be big money, I think. Now this is a little bit of a sketchy sort of angle here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out a little bit there. I'm going to see how we're going to line it so that we kind of hook in right there. And then we're going to line it so we kind of hook in like that. Just kind of order of operations there on how we build it. And there we go. That looks totally fine. And people are accumulating at the station. They don't really know that they don't have anywhere that they can't actually really realistically go to where they're trying to go. But they're, you know, they're doing what they can. They're going to just accumulate there as a resource, basically, and if they get disappointed, they get disappointed. But once we get all this hooked up, it should be good to go. We have a mission now to transport our first 50 passengers. We get a little bit of a bonus from that, so it's a little subsidy to kind of work on this, which is nice. Could kind of go off at this sharp angle here. The game is pretty forgiving about ooh. So that costs a little bit more because of the goofiness of the of how that elevated up there. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's bring this all the way around here. There we go. Very expensive first line, but now I think we can actually sort of extend this and say, hey, you know, you're gonna go to station 2. That's fine, and then you're gonna go to station 1. Which is now, or sorry, station 3. I guess I'm getting the names wrong here. This is this, and then you're gonna go to here, and then you're gonna go to here. And then you're going to go over here. If we speed this up just a touch here. Now what I can do is I can go to these original bits and we can remove these. Hit the remove the minus button, remove a command. So now it's saying, yep, we can remove that again. There we go. So we're going to go to station 3. Station 4, Station 5, Station 1, and that's the big loop that we're doing. Now let's actually get some signals on this, because if we want to add more trains here, then we obviously have a signal issue, potentially. We don't want these trains like smashing into each other when they're at the stations and stuff, so we'll probably have a signal right before each station. That would make sense, just to have them wait at the station. It looks like the trains, just in the path that we're giving them, they will automatically kind of like go the right direction. They're not going to just spontaneously flip around or anything like that. Of course, if we go here, this is how we create stations, the auto signal type station. We're just going to set them here and here. And basically, that's going to basically have this be one section. That'll be one section. That'll be a section. And that'll be a section. So if there's someone waiting, if there's someone at the station, they'll wait. Basically, although actually we might need them on both sides. We might need them on both sides here, because we don't want someone, like let's say there's a train over here, we don't want this person waiting here for that train to clear that area if they can just go to Anchorage. So we'll have them waiting here instead. So I think we're going to have them on both sides of the station with some clearance to sort of wait. And I think if I'm not crazy, this should work. This should now work. Okay. So any train that we add here, and we could, in fact, we actually have enough to build a, Baldwin. We'll save that. Maybe we'll use that Baldwin for getting the wood going. But I'm actually gonna, let's invest in another one of these. Let's assume these guys are gonna be able to pay for themselves. They have a maintenance of 1 money per sort of per time period. I don't know if that's monthly or yearly. I'm not actually 100% sure on that. It doesn't seem to be any maintenance on the actual wagon. So we know that 5 is the magic number for this. Let us go to here and let's set up our orders again. So adding an order, let's station 3, then to station 4, 5, and then back over to station 1. Because of course station 2 disappeared because it was the it was a bus station is what it was. Of course, we can rename these stations if we wanted to. That's not a problem. So let's get that going. I don't really know if we actually need 2 on here, but these will grow. The demand at these areas will grow. So I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. Plus this here, we need an extension on this one. See, by default, the catchment area is like, yeah, not nearly enough. Be interesting to see if it would grow on the other side. I'm just going to put that there because there we go. Now we have good catchment on all of these areas. So these houses are generating people that want to go here. If we click it here, we can see it's multiple sort of like, it takes a while for these people to be generated. The church generates 10 people. It takes longer for them to be generated, but they generate a big group of 10 at a time. So the actual towns with churches, you can see here, 36 people waiting at the station. That's no joke, right? So maybe actually having this additional train down here is actually going to work out. There's 56 people in that one. This train's coming along. There's no people waiting in it here, but there is, how many people waiting at the station here? 59 people waiting at the station. Holy cow, but we're going to be making some big money here. So this is good. This is good. Our trains are moving and grooving. We're making some good money here. Let's go. Let's go. We have our first line, and it seems we actually go look at some of the financials on this. I don't know if we've ran it enough to really worry about it. Let's go up to speed 3. Here, let's click on this train. Go to the statistics here. See, we've operational costs now at $9 $10 for this year, right? For the year 1921. It is full. It's 75 out of 75. Let's go. Where can we see income made? Well, it's showing us a bunch of passengers. Presumably each of these passengers is making us like this is money, guys. This is money flying up here. This is awesome. So I think we're making money. We are making money. Yeah, money is going up. Because while it's costing us like a couple bucks in maintenance when this guy's driving around, for the most part, I think each of these individual, people are giving us a buck to ride on the train. So when we're dropping off 50 people, we're making some, our money is screaming up right now. Screaming up. And we also completed our first passengers, our first quest, non-sort of tutorial quest there. There we go. Now we actually have a thing to deliver logs. So we need to set up the log economy because we have a nice little system here, and these towns will continue to grow. Buildings will expand as we go through the eras. They'll also grow at that point too, now that they're being serviced. In the future, they might require post to be delivered, mail and stuff to be delivered between the towns and stuff, which would be really cool. And that will happen and evolve over time as we go through the eras. But guys, thanks everybody for hanging out for this Mashinky gameplay. And hopefully this was just a really sort of simple and concise sort of getting started guide for people to be able to set up a successful line. We're rolling dough right now. We can now invest that into building industries and working towards sort of the other currencies, right? Stabilizing ourselves on sort of wood currency and coal currency, and moving into and using that to sort of move into the other eras. So thanks everybody for being here and watching. If you guys have questions, please ask down below. I read and answer all of the questions in the comments. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode where we continue on and move into era 2.